the tea entails, we want to start by acknowledging that this program is taking place in the unceded territory of Lil'wat Nation. My name is Nikki Madigan and I'm the curator at the Pemberton Museum. Thanks for coming and supporting this program on a very hot August day. And just a reminder to everyone in attendance that we do film these for the historic record and we put a copy up on our website. This is our 5th presentation out of 7 this summer, and our theme is local art, past and present. We have speakers from Mount Currie, Bergen, Pemberton, and Squamish. So what is art? Art is defined as the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, and includes the various branches of creative activity, such as painting, music, literature, and dance. Why is art important? Art reflects and informs the culture from which it emerges. Art created reflects a time and a place and the values and beliefs of that place. Art can be considered a mirror that is held up to inspire reflection on what is and what was. Art can communicate thoughts and ideas across generations. In the past, local art wasn't the exception, it was the reality. Communicating and growing beyond local borders was largely impossible. Today we can communicate with nearly anyone, anywhere. However, it's local art that gives a community meaning and a sense of place, so it remains an important aspect of community. Art has the ability to share common values and beliefs between different groups of people, and this type of communication is important for society. Creativity is a beautiful experience that brings people and communities together, regardless of race, gender, age, or religion. And integrating the arts more fully into our lives enriches each of us because engaging in the arts brings individuals together and it fosters community. Next week, the poet Linda K. Thompson will be here on August 13th to share poems inspired from her childhood in the Pemberton Meadows. Our final presentation will feature 3 historic artists from the area, Marjorie Gims, Pat Wilson, and Rainey Ronan. Today's program features Levi Nelson, who will be telling us about his need to create. Levi is an artist from the Lil'wat Nation and was raised on the Mount Currie Indian Reservation. He is also a very talented and emerging artist, having won an Idea Art Award from Emily Carr University and UBC in 2018. Becoming part of the permanent collection at the University of British Columbia, whose work includes artists such as Fred Herzog and Andy Warhol, with his painting titled Biology. Earlier this year, he was the recipient of the Ian Gillespie President's Discretionary Award from Emily Carr University of Art and Design, where he'll be entering into his 4th year of his Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. And he's majoring in visual arts with a focus on painting. His first solo show will be this coming November at the Maury Young Arts Center in Whistler. Levi creates art inspired by the past and the present, which speaks to people on many different levels. As he's been quoted, the Disney cartoon of Snow White or Bambi is just as much a part of my life and youth as the deer song or the woman's warrior song of my people, or even China Lily soy sauce on my fish and rice. I was just a small boy from an Indian reserve who had the gall to shoot for the stars, and I see them shining so brightly at this very moment. Thanks to all of you for coming and supporting the program.
Thank you. Katwa'o, welcome. Incha Sapian Tilauish, Lil'wat Nation, Upamilkan, Statliamkan. I'd like to welcome you to just peruse the paintings over here, which is titled Huntergatherer, and also another painting here titled A Brief History of Lil'wat. I'd like to welcome you and thank you. It's an honor to have you all here. I'd like to acknowledge the elders. Thank you for coming, and the young ones. So my name is Levi Nelson. My Upamilch name is Sapyan, and it translates to the younger one, and was given to me by my late maternal grandfather, Albert Nelson. I was born at a very young age, July 9th, 1983. And the painting here is titled Akha Omoch, which translates to the spirit world or the spirit dimension. And it will soon be turned into prints, gift cards, and postcards. My work is starting to spread. Slide. So this is biology. This was my winning painting for the 2018 Idea Art Award, and it's quite large. It spans about 16 feet and is in the corner pavilion of the medical center in the hospital at UBC. Like Nikki said, is a part of the collection at Paloma that has a lot of famous artists, including Andy Warhol. Slide. So the theme is local art, past and present, and I'm titling my presentation, The Need to Create. I'm going to take you on a journey through my art practice from 2015 to the present. So I started to create clothes at a very young age for my Barbies. I actually played with Barbies when I was younger. I used to sit at my mom's feet as she was sewing, and she would hand me scraps and I would construct clothes. So I was doing this in my diapers, and just this need to create beauty and to make things emerged for me from a very young age. It started in, I remember in Signal Hill Elementary School, grade 2, I was the best drawer in my class. I could draw the best horses, and all the girls loved me for that. And yeah, we used to play dolls together and compete with drawing horses. I've been to fashion design school in Toronto and also acting school, but I fell away from those because I found I wasn't in charge of my own craft. I was always making work for other people. So in about 2015, I was working in a pizza parlor, and I had a breakdown, and I said, I can't do this. This is not my life. So I applied to Emily Carr University, and I got in. And from then on, during the whole period of since high school, I was a painter, just painting, and I realized, I could make art. And that's what got me into Emily Carr University. This painting is called Inter-Tribal Diptych, and you'll notice it includes some historical rock paintings that are found here in the Lil'wat Nation, and also fused with Western Northwest Coast design, bringing the two together. Intertribal comes from the powwow. When you're at the powwow, they have these intertribal dances where everybody is welcome to dance, so it's about the mixing of cultures. Slide. As you can see over here on my right, this painting is titled A Brief History of Lil'wat, and also includes rock paintings found in this area, also petroglyph, which is carving in a rock, which could be found on the hillside over here, and rock paintings found in Lathamo, which is the Stein Valley, where my people would go to train. My ancestors would go to have their vision quests. Johnny Jones, I believe, if you were last week, spoke a lot more about them, and I'm not very knowledgeable about them, but we'll continue on. So these are the banners, if you've noticed, that line the streets of Pemberton on the lamppost. I won the Village of Pemberton's Hydrobox and Banner Design Contest this year, and they're displaying these banners along the street, so keep your eyes peeled. This type of art is actually not traditional to the West Coast. It comes from the East Coast, from the woodland Anishinaabe in Eastern Canada. These are from very early paintings of mine when I first started painting in 2015, seriously. I didn't know what direction to go, so I was really inspired by Norval Morso, and he helped carry me forward, and I developed my arm and my brush skills with this style. So now that I've found my own voice, I believe, yeah, we'll move forward. Thank you. This was my original concept for the banners, titled Cowboys and Indians, but the other ones were chosen. I titled it Cowboys and Indians because we have Pemberton and Mount Currie, two very close villages that live together, and as you can see from the museum that you're in, the cultures are very heavily rooted in horsemanship and agriculture. The silhouette here on the right is actually my mom and my sister in Holland dancing, and the rock paintings of the goat, the sun, Thunderbird, the grizzly bear clan, and also a cowgirl representing both the horsemanship of Pemberton and Mount Currie. It has been said or speculated that the one here, over here on the right, that kind of looks like a bird, but could also possibly be a map design leading the people through the valley and over. Okay, so the possibility of departing from tradition. This painting is titled Anthropology. I painted it after a visit to the Museum of Anthropology in Vancouver, and it's also going to be turned into gift cards soon. It belongs to a private collector. I was shortlisted for the Idea Art Award in 2017. I didn't win, but I swore the next year that I would, and I did. So I painted this symbolically. There's 3 totem poles that are lined up one behind the other, and I sat there and I sketched them out, and I went home and I created this painting. And I call it Anthropology. It is sort of symbolic about painting the totem poles in order to take them out of the museum and bring them back to the people. And that's happening through the prints that will be made soon for Whistler Blackcomb and going into their new staff housing. And it now resides in a private home in Whistler.
Are these the ones that are these totem poles at the UBC Museum?
Yes, they are. They're
Okay.
quite huge.
Yeah, yeah.
If you visit them, you'll see they're lined up one after the other. Next. This painting is titled After the Blast, and it's a nuclear metaphor about the remnants left over from cultural genocide. After a nuclear blast, think of the bombing of Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Sometimes permanent shadows are left on the ground as signs of what used to exist from the nuclear explosion. So after culture, language, land, and identity have been nearly obliterated, what's left are the bare bones interior. Nearly wiped out, it rises to its feet with every ounce of energy it has left, only to fight again. Slide. So the permission to express. This is not my painting. This is a painting by Fritz Scholder, who is no longer with us. He's 1/4 Louisiana from the California Mission Indians, and also German. He was very famous in the 1960s and 70s, and he painted the Indians. He wanted to paint the Indians in reality, and there was a lot of controversy about this painting. He called himself a non-Indian Indian and departed from traditional art, which also gave me permission to do the same. I have the utmost respect for the traditional works of my people and the Northwest Coast, the East Coast, and I wish I could learn them all, but I borrow from them and help move them forward to the contemporary moment. So I would like to present you with a short film about Fritz Scholder.
Click in the slide.
Oh, it's called Indian with Beer Can from 1969, and it actually belongs to Ralph Lauren, the fashion designer.
They're not the idealized romantic images of American Indians people were accustomed to. Fritz Scholder created a stir with these paintings in the 1960s.
He painted Indians with green faces. He painted Indians distorted. And that was, it may seem tame now, but at the time that was really startling.
Paul Chott Smith is curator of the exhibit, Fritz Scholder, Indian, Not Indian. The title refers in part to how the artist, who died in 2005, saw himself.
He always was very specific in how he characterized himself. That he was, yes, part Indian, but also part French, English, and German as well. He saw himself mainly as an artist.
The exhibit at the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington features more than 100 of Shoulder's paintings, sculptures, and prints. The works span more than 4 decades, starting from the late 1950s. Most are of American Indians. Although it was his signature subject matter, he did not come to it easily, as he noted in a 1975 documentary.
When I first came to Santa Fe, I was painting landscapes, but I realized that everyone else was painting the Indian. And so I vowed that I would never paint the Indian.
That was in 1964, but 3 years later, Shoulder changed his mind when he saw that no one was painting Indians as they lived then. His decision to do so was controversial.
To show Indians in the 20th century, to show Indians in a car, to show an Indian drinking a can of beer, all of that was subject matter that was off limits until Shoulder and his colleagues began to change how these were represented.
Shoulder's paintings can be whimsical. He often drew on historic, traditional images, a photo by Edward Curtis, for example, but with an added twist. Here, an ice cream cone replaces a traditional dancer's rattle. Art galleries eventually warmed to his work, but his decision to show modern Indians grappling with personal demons, a drunken Indian staggering down a sidewalk, for example, was not widely embraced.
Most Indians at the time hated it at first, and many still do. My mother still hates Shoulder's work and wouldn't come to the show because I thought it was curating it. He's still very controversial today, 3 years after his death.
Yet Fritz Shoulder is also widely regarded as the artist who changed forever the way American Indians would be portrayed. Susan Lowe, VOA News, Washington.
So I would just like to add a little note here. The word Indian, American Indian is widely used in the United States, but here in Canada, of course, we're referred to as Native or First Nations. It's a bit of an older video. And Fritz Shoulder had actually given me the permission to move forward and present the reality of what it's like to be an Aboriginal today in Canada.
Here we go.
So, reality and the resistance of profiling. I did this diptych called Good Old Government Housing, and they're acrylic on canvas. And I just wanted to portray the reality of First Nations on reserve. So my Indian reserve, Mount Currie, Lil'wat Nation, is surrounded by the wealthy community of Whistler and Pemberton, but somehow remains in slight poverty. We're climbing out of that thanks to our local governments. We are rising. So with that, I'd like to move forward and present a little bit of a cartoon from Family Guy.
All right, come on, we've got to get those guns back. Hey, hi, how are you today? Good to see you. Listen, we've just been informed that these guns are defective. We're from the gun company. Anyway, you know how we like to take things back from people? Well, we're going to go ahead and take these back.
That's right, we're from Gunco.
Oh, you're brilliant.
Where are you taking guns?
Ryan, grab the return pad.
Get 'em, paleface!
They're gone. You can talk normal now. Everything looks like it should.
Only one way to be certain. Okay, let's do a quick search here. Native American role models. 0 results found. Looks like we did it, Ryan.
Oh, thank God. And what are you going to do with all those guns?
I don't know, sell them to some messed up kid.
So I saw this on Family Guy, I'm a big fan of the show, and I found it to be quite hilarious actually, but also it sparked an idea inside of me to become a part of the cultural norm. In the media, Aboriginal people are always presented as the angry protester, or stories on the missing and murdered, the alcoholic, or the noble savage, or powwow culture. But we're everyday people, and we're rarely seen as that in the media. There's no television commercials about us. You pick up any fashion magazine, flip through, you won't see any native models or fashion designers. We're always relegated or categorized to those specific stigmas. And I think it's a negative thing, and I'm working very hard to change that. Because we're everyday people. We drink Pepsi, we drive cars, we have hobbies like reading and painting, sports. Words that come to mind with the media's portrayal are words like erasure, indifference, denial, or non-existence, as I said in advertising. Slide. Oh, sorry, we're there. So this painting is titled Construction of the Imaginary Indian, and it's based on a paper that I read and had to study in one of my classes at Emily Carr University. Construction of the Imaginary Indian is the title of Marcia Crosby's thesis, and she talks about the negative effects of the myth of the Indian, as I have touched on. Slide. So, disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. That's how we create change. I'm not angry. I am not political. I am an artist. My grandmothers, Lena Williams, and Georgina Nelson, and my mom, Lois Joseph, taught me not to be angry, but to educate and share our culture and our values with our neighbors. Sometimes I'm angry, but I strive to practice their gracious teachings. I am simply painting the world through my eyes, and I'm so happy to share that with you today. This is what I'm learning, and this is what I'm realizing in my education at Emily Carr University. The painting is titled Trade Blankets, and it has a double meaning to the title. A word known as tautology, which is any way that you look at it, there's the truth. So it refers to the trade blankets from the Hudson's Bay Company that were given to many First Nations communities a long time ago, infected with smallpox. But also, it's urging people to think about trading places or imagining being in that person's moccasins, walking a mile in their moccasins. And yes. Next slide. So I painted many styles. I recently won another award from the Tizio Learning Center in their Call for Artists. And this painting, in addition to another painting, are actually hanging in the new Tizio Learning Center, the Capilano College in the Mount Currie district. It's titled How the Animals and Birds Got Their Names, as told by Charlie Mack. And Charlie Mack was a very knowledgeable storyteller, and he knew the land quite well. You'll notice up on the right we have Mount Currie, and over here another mountain known as Gun Sight. So the story goes that after the Great Flood, all of the people had left the valley here in Lil'wat territory. And so at the time, Rabbit became chief. So you'll see the two rabbits here. And he wanted to call the people back. So he sent out Porcupine to climb up the mountain over to where the people were resting after the Great Flood had receded. And Porcupine, there was a lot of snow at the time, so Porcupine had to climb the mountain, and he kept rolling back down, and he'd climb back up and roll back down, and this made a trail for the people to come back. And eventually he was able to make it over and invite the people back to the Lil'wat Nation territory. You'll see the slides here are a part of that legend. So the people came back and met with the Rabbit brothers who couldn't make the journey themselves over the mountain. The people went into the big house, the She'ishkin, the underground pit house, and they went into ceremony, and they changed themselves into Alan, the coyote, the tzit, which are the deer, and other animals like the kingfisher and the woodpecker that you see there. And so the names of the people themselves are what has been given to the animals. Thank you. Next slide. So I painted many styles. The painting up here actually belongs to my auntie Helena. Thank you for coming. It's an honor to have you here. Also, the fallen totem belongs to a person. The fallen totem over here, painted in the Haida style, is inspired by a totem on Haida Gwaii. And cultural fragments down here is my own little abstraction of Northwest Coast art, ovoids and euvoids. And I also kind of dabbled in wildlife painting. And also in the far right, you'll see another painting inspired by woodland Cree artist Norval Morristow. The previous painting was heavily inspired by a native group of 7 artists named Daphne Ojig. Emily Carr didn't discover great talent, but they opened doors for artists like myself. So moving to North Vancouver, the geographic distance allows an artist like myself to step back and address the world at large. Distancing oneself from the past allows me to see the bigger picture. And the ideas of other artists are filtered through my new brain. Any questions so far?
Is there a style that you prefer to paint, or is it sort of depending on the message that you give or want to give?
Well, so the painting over here is made from silkscreen, collage, and acrylic. It features in the background China lily soy sauce, which is a popular brand of soy sauce to my people that we eat with our fish and rice. But it also it also recalls the past of Sitting Bull and the ghost of Sitting Bull. And at the time of apartheid, you'll see there's a little bit of a fade where it says restroom reserved for whites only. And this painting is titled Hunter-Gatherer and refers to the contemporary moment and how we're just everyday people who also shop in the grocery stores to gather our food. So in the beginning, like I said, Snow White and Bambi are just a part of my cultural history as a human being, as the women's warrior song of my people, or the language. English is my first language. I think in English, and I struggle with that a bit. I'm working hard to try and understand and learn as many words as I can through an app, actually, on my phone. So you can see the contemporary moment and how the past is evolutionized to the contemporary moment. Next slide. So this is my latest painting. It's titled Two Spirits at the Carnival of the Stations of the Cross. And you'll see on the back, the Ferris wheel actually features Stations of the Cross. And the wheel refers to the great stone medicine wheel that's found in Alberta that's ancient, but also the first wheels to cross the prairie, and how it has evolutionized into carnival rides and transportation today. So it's sort of a bit of a, I guess, self-portrait, where two spirits stand proudly in front of and embracing many different ideas from different religions. I go to church, I meditate in Buddhism, and I also go to the sweat lodge. I believe the universe and the supreme being is one and the same. Thank you.